Guys? So I had somebody ask me a really good question the other day, and so I thought I would just go ahead and make a quick little video about it. During this video, we're going to go over how to progress your weights you're using on each exercise from week to week as we go throughout this program. So as we go throughout these 7 weeks, how should we be progressing in the weights that we use for each exercise? If you haven't yet watched the RPE RIR explanation video, go ahead and watch that before you watch this video, as it'll help this make a lot more sense. And I'll go ahead and link that video down in the description box below. Essentially, we're just going to look at one example. So we're going to look at our upper A workout and the seated dumbbell overhead press during that workout. So week 1, we're doing 4 sets of 7 reps. Week 2, we're doing 4 sets of 5 reps. And week 3, we're doing 4 sets of 3 reps. So during these first 3 weeks, each week we're going to maintain the number of sets, except we're going to drop the reps down. The goal during these first 3 weeks is, as the reps come down, you're going to want to try to increase the amount of weight you're doing that exercise if possible. I say if possible because even though our goal is to increase weight, we still want to be able to maintain our appropriate RPE target. So like for this exercise, we have it set at an 8 RPE for all of these weeks. So you want to increase the weight, but you only want to do that if you can still maintain that RPE target. And a little bit later in this video, I'll get into how you can still progress in exercises if you can't necessarily make the full jump up to the next dumbbell size. So week 4, I put little asterisks next to these, because for certain exercises on week 4, we're going to add on an extra set. We're going to go from 4 sets to 5 sets during all the weeks, and we're going to jump back up to the top of the rep range. So going back to 7, then down to 5, and then down to 3. And then again, that's just only certain exercises will get an additional set added to them. So just be sure to pay close attention to the workout descriptions in all the description boxes of all the videos, just to notice all these little changes. We want to progress in weight as the reps are coming down, and then the goal during week 4, once we go back up to that same rep range we started with, the goal is, if possible, to try to use a slightly heavier weight than you did at that same rep range in week 1. But if not, we're still progressing, because now instead of doing 4 sets, we're doing 5 sets. Whether and even if you're able to progress and by how much is really going to be dependent upon the specific exercise. Something like a deadlift, if we go from 5 reps per set one week down to 4 reps per set the next week, even though that's only 1 less rep per set, something like a deadlift where it's a big compound movement and we're using a lot of muscle groups, even doing just 1 less rep should be significant enough, as long as you're feeling good and feeling recovered, to be able to do a little bit more weight that next week. Stuff like some more of the isolation type exercises, so like seated dumbbell curls, so maybe going from sets of 10 on one week down to sets of 9 the next week. Really, on those type of exercises, taking 1 rep off really isn't a whole lot, and so it's not. And it's, most of the time it's not enough to be able to go from, like, let's say you're doing 35-pound dumbbells for sets of 10 to be able to go up to 40-pound dumbbells for sets of 9. So normally a one rep drop per set on these exercises really isn't enough to make a full jump. That being said, there are still a few ways that we can progress with these exercises, even though if we can't make the full jump up to the next weight. Okay, so we're going to go through 2 different ways that you can still progress with these exercises. The first way is to just increase weight on some of the sets. Something like, the seated dumbbell supinating curl. So let's say week 1, you do 35 pounds for 10 reps, and you're able to do all 4 sets that way while still maintaining whatever the RPE target we have set. And then week 2, you go up to 40-pound dumbbells. We're going to go from 10 reps down to 9 reps, and again, that'll all be laid out in each of the workouts, but in week 2, we go down from 10 reps down to 9 reps. So you up the weight on 2 of the sets, and then you realize that after 2 sets, like, okay, I probably won't be able to hit that 3rd set at, let's say we have an 8 RPE. You're like, I probably won't be able to hit that 3rd set using that weight. So you'll just go ahead and drop down to 35 pounds and do the last 2 sets with the 35 pounds. so that way you can still progress in weight for some of the sets, but also still stick with the overall theme and goal, and that's to maintain the predetermined RPE targets. And then the second way we're going to go over for how to progress is called a modified drop set. For example, and I actually think I'm going to show a clip at the end of this just to kind of show you an example of what I'm talking about. But for something like the seated dumbbell overhead press, let's say we have a set programmed for, we want to do 13 reps at an 8 RPE. So what you would do is you would start the set with, let's say, 50 pounds, and you do the set until you get to that RPE. So our goal is 13 reps. Once we get to rep 10 in that set, like, you know, we're probably at an RPE right now, at that point you just drop the weight down and immediately move on to, you know, you can normally just drop down one increment down to the 45s and just finish the set with the remaining 3 reps while still staying within that RPE target. This isn't a traditional drop set, which is where you go to failure and then drop the weight down. This is where you go until you hit your RPE target, and then you drop the weight down and finish the set for the amount of reps you had left with a lighter weight while still staying within your RPE targets. This is great because it allows us to progress and use heavier weights the next week if we can't make that full jump for all the reps, but it also allows us to stay within, again, that main plan of the program and still stay within our RPE targets.
Okay, so here's just a quick example of one of those modified drop sets I was talking about. So I have the weights, I just continue on with the set until I hit an 8 RPE. Once I hit that 8 RPE with that weight, I'll just immediately drop down to a lighter weight and then finish off the number of reps I have left in that set while still maintaining the appropriate RPE.
One last point I want to make is for these 4 unique exercises right here. So for the standing dumbbell lateral raise, the dumbbell incline lateral raise, the lying dumbbell rear delt row, and then the cable external rotations. For these 4 exercises, because the ability to progress them from week to week while maintaining good technique and form can take a really long time, and typically the weights that you use for these exercises are pretty light. Instead of, and you'll see this, you know, as you go through the program, but instead of giving a specific rep number to hit, so instead of saying hit 9 reps one week, then hit 8 reps the next week, and then hit 7 reps, instead of doing that specifically, there's a rep range. So for example, the standing dumbbell lateral raise. For the first 3 weeks, it just says 3 sets of 8 to 12 reps. And it stays that same way for the first 3 weeks. This gives us an alternative way to progress these movements if you can't or don't want to use the 2 methods that we just talked about, and that is to focus on progressing through reps. What I mean by this is, like, for example, let's say we're doing the standing dumbbell lateral raise. So for week 1, let's say you use 25-pound dumbbells and you do 8 reps in the first set, 8 reps in the second set, and then 8 reps in the third set. And you were able to maintain the appropriate RPE for all those sets. So during that second week, rather than jumping up to 30 pounds, which is a big jump for a movement like this, you would stick with the 25-pound dumbbells, and instead of aiming for 8 reps, you would aim for 9 reps, 9 reps, 9 reps. And then, week 3 again, maintain the weight at the 25 pounds, and then go 10 reps, 10 reps, 10 reps. And that's just an example. Again, the goal is to try to progress more volume, so to be able to do more each week, while still keeping good form, and then also while still staying, within our RPE targets for that exercise. This is why it's so important to log your exercises, the sets, the reps you got for each set, and the RPE value you get for each set. And that's so that way, later on down the road, 1, 2, 3 weeks down the road, you can look back and see what exercise or what weight you used for that exercise and what your RPE value was for that set. So it kind of gives you a good starting place to go from. Keep these questions coming. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the channel and share this program with a friend. I'll see you guys in the next video.